Alright guys, so the 9th anniversary for Dokkan is coming to an end, unfortunately. Sad to say. So I decided to make this video as sort of a recollection of what happened. This is going to be like a 6-part or like 7-part series of me just talking about the 9th anniversary. So the next video will be about the Carnival and Dokkan Fest format. But overall, my thoughts, before I even jump in here, is that this is the best celebration we've ever seen. This is by far the best celebration we have ever seen in this game. So that's why I wanted to make this video. I was like, you know, it'd be pretty fun to just have a talk about it. So I'm going to talk about the history of the 9th anniversary here. So we started off, when was this? This is January 5th. Was when we heard any news about the 9th anniversary. So you might see this kind of weird, but for some reason the original video got taken down. I don't know why, but it got taken down. So I had to basically take one of these bots, like bot generated translator videos. So yeah, and how the original, teasers went was that it was Battle of Gods, and then went to Resurrection F, and then this was the biggest curveball, I think, was this. This was the Tournament of Power, was the third teaser here. So I think this was the biggest curveball for the community, because originally, we can look at the comments here, actually, was that this was like, okay, this is gonna be a movie celebration. Some people were like, start a super, end a super, or because it's, that he's a Super Saiyan God, then that would mean, oh, well, it's talking about godly power. Personally, I was more subscribed to the idea of it being a movie celebration, and we were gonna go from, Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, Broly, and Superhero. That was how I thought it was gonna go, and that's how it ended up, being, obviously. But originally, a lot of people thought it was gonna be UI Goku. And at the time of this teaser, I think that Dokkan had been pretty clowned on, because the overall consensus of 2023 is that it is one of the worst years that we've ever experienced in this game. And I would totally agree. We've had so many bad releases. I think at the tail end, New Year's, it was a strong end. I would say some people weren't a fan of Dragon Fist, just because of the animation, but this teaser definitely gave, I think, hope to the community. But they're like, this is the biggest, I think, consensus, was that it was going to be UI Goku and Beast. And I was more so leaning towards, my personal choice was that it was going to be Gogeta, Beast, and then some other, I wasn't really sure what part 2 would be. I was just thinking it was Gogeta and Beast in the first part. So then we roll around here, because this was kind of, it was more so just confirming that this is probably going to be more so a movie celebration. But then this threw off a lot of people and thought, this person, what does this mean? We didn't know. We didn't know what it meant. Because, Tournament of Power, we didn't really know. It made no sense. It was like, are we just going to go back to TOP? Yeah, Universe 11? Are we just going to have Jiren as part of the anniversary headliners? That'd be so bad. I think, honestly, looking back, this was probably right. Was that this is more so confirmation that we're getting a lot of Tournament of Power EZAs. And if you look at it now, obviously, number 2 and number 3 are Tournament of Power units from literally 6th anniversary. So yeah, I think that this kind of drove the community to be more negative. I'm gonna be honest, because I think a lot of people were at that point deciding, okay, this is just gonna be a Tournament of Power celebration, isn't it? I'd hope that Omatsu and the dev team would make the right choice and actually do movies, because I don't think that Tournament of Power a second time is really all that hype. I'm gonna be honest. I like Tournament of Power, but I don't think this would carry an anniversary celebration. So we roll to part 1. I think this is probably two of the I think this is the best picks they could have ever done. There couldn't have been a better pick. Now, do I think we're not going to talk about the fact that, Broly's like team, super bosses is not great, but I think at the time, these choices here were great. Gogeta's hype, amazing choice. I think that this Broly was not expected. I honestly did not see too many predictions of Broly because I think historically speaking, extreme units have been relegated to just worldwide download celebration or mediocre monthly Dokkan Fest releases, which is quite unfortunate because, there can be power from these type of characters. There's hype with these characters, but I think that Dokkan for some reason treats Superclass like that's the only sort of class there is. If you look at Extreme, there's not too many good units that are top 10 level. I think Broly's honestly one of the only two I'd consider top 10 level, and the other one's just an easy A, which happened during this celebration, which we'll get to. But yeah, I think this is great. This is a great pick. Maybe the timing you can argue is not great, but the pick itself was amazing. And I think this gave a lot of inspiration to people to start playing the game again, or to be a bit more hopeful of what this celebration had to offer. I think, the Blue Zone or the Supreme Battle Spectacle was a great choice to start shifting more towards very difficult content. You know what I mean? What else do we got here? Yeah, so this EZA, look at this EZA right now. So I think that this EZA was such a great buff for Broly's team at the time. I think that now, because of, the drop of Beast Gohan, all the new fights and stuff, it's kind of irrelevant. But I think that at the time, this kind of boosted a lot of people's hype on Broly himself. And I just think Part 1 was not considered mediocre. I think it was honestly extremely hype. We got this event, which I remember at the time I was really hyped for this. Woke up when a game dropped and did every single mission. Because we don't get stuff like this. Like, in the past, I've been playing this game since 2018. And I skipped 5th anniversary. But I went through 6th, 7th, and 8th. And I think the only other celebration I can say has made me feel this hype for this game is the 7th anniversary. And I think that's the consensus of a lot of people, is that was the, premier celebration. We had the 2 Gogetas, and I think Part 2 is irrelevant. That I think no one remembers Part 2, because everyone just thinks about Part 1. It shook up the meta a lot. Oh, and this guy too, also, I forgot to mention him. He was a good sign of what was to come for power. And, I don't know, this whole Part 1 was set up so perfectly in favor of the community. But back to what I was saying. I think that no one really remembers Part 2 of 7th anniversary. I think everyone just focuses on the hype of Part 1, because honestly, I'm not trying to downplay it. That was one of the best Part 1s in this game's history, besides, worldwide of 2022. So then we get to Part 2. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be candid, that I think this honestly beats out Part 1. Which I never ever would have thought would be the case, because typically Part 1 is the more, hype moment. We care more about Part 1, and then Part 2 is kind of secondary. But Part 2, it feels like this was the main event. Mostly due to 2 factors. We got Beast Gohan, finally. This has been the biggest, thing in this community since the drop of Ultimate Gohan. The Gammas, unfortunately, I think got massively overshadowed by this guy just because of the weight of his release and the power level of his, kit. I love these. I love this release too. I love both of these. So I don't consider them an L. I love their animations. I think they're both really solid picks for part 2. Like, they're amazing picks for part 2. And, basically revived the superhero team. Now, I'll talk about, their leader skill in a later video, other stuff. Like, I'll talk about the difficult content specifics in another video. But overall, I think this was such a successful part. Oh, and this just reminded me that this change that they made is probably one of the most impactful, of changing the rainbow tickets from being, like we get like 28 to being, so they changed they changed the 77 ticket summon to be for one of the banners, which, let me actually pull that up right here. Yeah, exactly, look at this. You could summon on any of these 50 tickets, and you can pull something. Like, I've seen some really crazy multis. Me personally, I didn't get too lucky, but there's been some crazy multis here. Because just the value of getting 77 units in one banner, you're bound to get something. I think that change honestly helped, both free-to-play players and people who got shafted initially. I got really shafted on both these guys' banners. I got them eventually, but still, for other people too, I know didn't get them at all. And this ticket summon helped them pull them. It's great. I think that was a great change. That was an amazing change. So yeah, we got their EZA, and then we got, link level event, we got, burst mode, we got so much stuff here. Like, this is not a part 2 of 7th anniversary where, speaking of, these guys just drop. Like, these bad free-to-play units just drop and no one cares, I'm not trying to say that Kaioken Goku and Saiyan Saga Vegeta are not cool picks. I just don't think they were good picks for the second part of the 7th anniversary, which was the theme of Goku and Vegeta. I just think they could have picked something better or made better content after the fact, other than, the additions to Red Zone. And it doesn't look like a lot here. You like, it ends here, right? It ends here. This is the first part. Like, I just, even if this doesn't seem like a lot, it was at the time. At the time, it was. I just think Beast and the Gammas were just two incredible picks. Then part 3, I think, kind of tied all this together. I think it straight up tied everything together to make this probably the most special and, most successful anniversary in this game's history, in my opinion. And I was already thinking in part 2, yeah, this is already best anniversary. This is just no doubt. You can't even argue. But I think part 3 honestly just solidifies that idea more. These two are essentially like anniversary, like new release level, which I think was such an important thing for people who didn't pull them, who might have just came back after a while and didn't go through both of these. You know what I mean? Like, these two were really important. And, and we're just getting so much content, EZAs, we're getting the boss rush of the movie Red Zone, you get the Cell Max fight, just dropped like on Monday. Like, we're still getting new content. We're still getting more and more and more. Currently it's the 28th right now. It ends on the 5th. I believe that we may be getting an EZA before then. I'm not too sure, but certainly this has been a anniversary, and I think the community reaction to all of this has been just overwhelmingly positive. I haven't seen too much bad talk online about this celebration. I think that it is pretty easily in people's top 3 celebrations of all time. And I just don't think anything compares. The number of events, of new characters, of new EZAs, of hype characters, of hype picks, of just insanity. New events, the difficult event, shift from, we just get 2 fights. You get Omega and Fusion Zamasu. Like, I don't think that was a good, like, time to play the game. And now we just have so many. We have, like, 8 or 9 new stages that are just actually tough. So yeah, like, I just think this celebration and all was a W from the jump. From this first teaser, I think that this game and celebration were just destined to be just great. We're just destined to be great. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm happy with where we're at right now. And honestly, I'm more excited and positive for the next releases than I am negative. Because I think that the 8th anniversary definitely made me feel like, you know, this is not gonna go too well. Honestly, I like the 8th anniversary. I just wasn't really a fan of both picks for part 1 and part 2. I think Spirit Bombs is cool. I think that the intros is cool. I just think that can be a different, separate time. Like, I think that can be a different, separate time, and we need to hammer in a really good release. I just think the 8th anniversary was kind of the start of the downfall, and all of 2023 has just been a roller coaster for this game. This has been a roller coaster. And I think the 9th anniversary picked up the slack, the very big slack that the community wanted. And I think, honestly, there's no better period than right now. I don't think the 7th anniversary even was a better period than right now. You know, just the level of characters we have right now is just so strong. It's just so strong. And I think that their picks, and they've listened to the community, I think that all of that is going to just culminate into a good year for this game. You know, we're going to have the global sync in August. We're going to have both versions synced up after around 7 years of it just being separate release schedules. And I think, honestly, it's going to help the dev team be a lot more organized. And it's going to help gauge both sides of the community, right? We got the English and Japanese side, and unfortunately with JP, that they listen to the Japanese side a lot more than they do the English side, because they're, you know, ahead. They're the main, you know, releaser. Like, they release stuff first. So I think if we have just both, you know, dev teams being able to put both opinions in from, you know, all over the world, this game's gonna live. I think that was my biggest fear, was that this game was not gonna make it. So yeah, 9th anniversary overall, just greatest celebration of all time. And that's about it, honestly. I'm gonna talk about the Carnival and Dokkan Fest format tomorrow. So if you guys like what you saw, just like, comment, maybe even subscribe to the channel. Same time, same place. And that's really it, guys. I'll see you in the next one.